and everything like that, we got to talk about the huge story here that's just hanging over not only the SEC but all of college football. The latest on Texas and Oklahoma possibly coming into the SEC. And I don't know if you saw this, Shane, but the SEC network this morning, they threw out, it was a completely hypothetical. They're not saying this is exactly how it's going to work out, but it was kind of like I was saying on the last show. If this happens and there's a 16-team league with Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC, they're going to have to do away with divisions because I just don't know how that's going to work out. 8 teams on each side, and hell, they don't even play each other now. That's a constant theme. It's something Dan Mullen talked about this year at Media Days, and I think everybody's kind of fed up with it. But SEC now, the morning show, they threw out this idea. And, people squabble with the teams they picked. That's not really the point. But the point of what they were trying to make, I really like this idea. They're saying, they're not calling it divisions, but let's just for simplicity's sake, let's call these divisions. 4 divisions in the SEC is basically how it would work out. That would mean, obviously, there's 4 teams in each division, right?
Yeah.
And you'd have to move to a 9-game conference schedule, so just one more than we already got. You play the other 3 teams in your division every single year, just like you do now. And then, so now you got 3 other divisions, and every other year, you just switch the 2 out you're playing. And what that would do, even in a 16-team league, let's say you go to Tennessee as a freshman.
Yeah.
And you stay to Tennessee when you're a senior, you will have played every single team in the SEC, and you will have visited every stadium in the SEC. I don't think there's any better way to do it than that.
That may be it, Mike. I mean, that may be it. The only, I guess, counter offer there is there's a lot of these guys that love these rivalries, man.
Right.
One of the things that we've talked about, like in years past, when we talk about the expansion of the SEC, not knowing which teams are coming in, that maybe you keep 2 games that each team has to play, your rivalries, and then the rest you rotate it. That may be an option. So I like the structure of that. Kind of has an NFL approach to it. But but now you're looking at which 4 teams are which. Is it based on location? Is it based on histories of the program? I don't know. There's definitely going to have to be some questions answered. But let me ask you, Mike, because this thing really has picked up some steam. How likely do you think this happens? Because it almost sounds like it's a done deal.
Yeah, when you got the damn SEC network throwing out the possibilities, they would not have gotten the green light if, the SEC did not want this out there. Let's just say that. And you got, if you missed it, the Big 12, all the presidents, they called an emergency meeting. And 2 schools failed to show up, Shane, Texas and Oklahoma. So, that's troubling there. And then you got state representatives out of the state of Texas that are up in arms, and apparently they're trying to rush to have some kind of legislation to where Texas, is not allowed to leave the conference. So, I have no idea if those guys are clued in at all. They may not be, but, we're talking Texas Tech alums and Baylor alums. They're just trying to do what they can to keep their conference together. I don't think they're going to have any say in the matter, but it is kind of hilarious. And then the only other thing that I thought was very interesting, Shane, Texas, they sent out a tweet today.
Yeah.
It was one of those throwback Thursdays, and it was Texas beating Texas A&M the final time those 2 played in 2011. And I mean, what a coincidence that they're sending that out considering all the news this week. So there's almost too much smoke to not be a huge fire on the horizon. You know what?
Well, I'll tell you what, the memes were firing off today, Mike. I saw some good ones. In fact, our buddy sent us one I thought was probably the best one. It was a SWAT team that was going inside of a building. And on the back of the SWAT team, there was Texas, and then there was Oklahoma. And then on the other side, keeping the door locked was a Cheeto that said Texas A&M. So I don't know if that Cheeto's going to be able to keep those guys out, but that does lead me to another question because there are a lot of fans that probably don't understand the legalities of sneaking into this program. But this could be voted out based on a couple of programs, right? Like, isn't it? It's not a majority rule. Am I correct?
Well, it's got to be 11 of the 14, and the historically in the SEC,
Uh-huh.
they have an unwritten rule where if the conference wants this to happen, they basically, work behind the scenes and say every decision needs to be made all of us or none of us, and we can't have one of us going out here publicly and saying, they're not going to call out Texas A&M, but that's who they'd be talking to. We can't have you out there in the media saying, we don't want Texas, we don't want Oklahoma, because hell, if let's say Texas A&M is the only one that has a strong argument to not add those two,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to add them anyway. And now you got bad blood.
Yeah.
This is supposed, they say, it's so cheesy. It means more. It just means more, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
But it truly does. And you can't have squabbling like that in the conference. It's just a bad look for everybody involved. So if this comes to pass, I guarantee you that it will be 14-0 vote to allow those teams in. And I think they'll hear Texas A&M out. They'll give them every opportunity to make their case. But if they can't convince, a couple other schools that this is a bad idea, that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And if I'm Texas A&M, come on in, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you pair these damn programs up right now, Texas A&M has nothing to be afraid of. The pipeline is thick of recruits. They've built a beautiful, beautiful stadium down there, beautiful facilities. They're ahead. Okay, let them Longhorns come in, and I think it's not going to be the same song and dance that we saw when they were over there.
But yeah, man, so we'll see. And like, kind of like Brent Zerman, who was the first one to report this news on Wednesday, he said this thing was going to be coming quick. And here it is, man. I mean, I'm not saying that Texas and Oklahoma are going to be in the SEC. They're obviously not going to be in it for the upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably not going to be the next 2 or 3, if we're being honest. But I think a deal could be ironed out, and they could get it to where it is ironed out. It'll just take a couple years due to contracts and everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I love it, man. I mean, we went from like, I honestly, media day snuck up on me, and now it's like Texas joining the SEC. You got Eli down there firing off, messages against Arkansas in the rivalry. I just love it, man. We're back, baby. And this is college football. We're already talking trash. We got to see some of these great athletes. I hate that it's coming to an end, but man, I'm pumped up for college football.